Hey everyone, my name is Charlie, and if everything has gone well, then I am currently on holiday in Whitby. Whitby has become this place that we always find incredibly restful. We like the Whitby bookshop, we like the community aspect of everything there. It is just a place that seems indescribable, but there are some authors who have gone out of their way to describe it. Therefore, I thought that today I would talk about the books that I have read that feature Whitby as a place and emphasise the character of that place. One of the first mentions that I ever got of Whitby is from a book that I don't own, a series that I don't own, and that is The Whitby Witches by Robin Jarvis. I first discovered Robin Jarvis's books when I was in primary school, and I think that they are what have gone on to inspire my love of the creepiness in middle grade fiction. They've given me a level of horror that I can contend with, and I never want to venture away from that. I don't remember much about the stories. I can just remember the mention of Whitby and the way that the sense of creepiness just exuded from this book. And I wonder whether I went back to them now as an adult, I would feel the same way about them. But I remember the covers, the artwork, how I would just pore over that cover for ages and just stare at it, really enjoying it, hoping that one day I might have a cover that was so involved. And so that was The Whitby Witches. And then I never really thought about Whitby again until 2013. But when I was in Whitby, I knew that one book that I wanted to buy from there, because I just felt like everyone talks about this book and that place. And that book is Dracula, naturally. I acquired this book on my first visit. I went into the Whitby bookshop, and every time I've gone in, they've always had a stack of different editions of Dracula. They also had the World of Dracula jigsaw last year. I haven't purchased it. As much as I like the World of jigsaws, this seems very heavily based on the buildings there. My copy was originally wrapped in cellophane. As you can see, it's red. I don't know whether it's real leather, but leather bound with these black pages that now look very grey because of how long they've sat on my shelves. I both read and listened to this book a few years ago, and Whitby is definitely a very strong place within here. Sometimes I wonder whether it was because of Victorian London, thinking of the north as this very grim place, and so that's why Dracula ends up coming into the coast of Whitby. I do like this book. I still think that Jonathan Harker and Dracula should have started up some sort of relationship together, but when don't I notice some sort of gay undertones in literature? You know, we've got David Copperfield and Steerforth, we've got Jonathan Harker and Dracula. I am sure there are many more. But yes, the place was definitely important in here. Whilst it is not like where our final centrepiece takes place, Dracula is synonymous with Whitby, and it would have been remiss of me not to include it in this video. I just realised another place that I read of Whitby prior to Dracula was Never the Bride by Paul Magrs. Now, this book is battered. I also have the sequel somewhere in the house, which is Something Borrowed, also by Paul Magrs. And basically, Brenda has moved to Whitby alongside her friend Effie, and they run a B&B. I will just read you the blurb. The oddest thing in Whitby may well be Brenda herself. With her terrible scars, her strange lack of a surname, and the fact that she takes 2 different shoe sizes, Brenda should have known that people as unique as she is just aren't destined for a quiet life. I bought this book when I saw the author interviewed in Writing magazine, and as I say, I got the sequel in my mother's room as well. I gave them to her to read many moons ago and never got them back, so that's why they've ended up bent. But each chapter feels like its own story and is about Brenda and Effie and all the goings on in Whitby. Definitely there are some supernatural goings on. It is a comedy that has some grim undertones, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I do wish to continue the series in future. I listened to the start of the first book last year and hoped to get my mum to listen to it all the way to Whitby, but unfortunately she wasn't interested in that. However, the author does have his own YouTube channel, which I will link in the description, and the series has gone on a lot further than those first 2 books, although those are the only ones that I have read. I look forward to continuing with this series and seeing where it goes. Then we have 3 Things About Elsie by Joanna Cannon. Now, Whitby is mentioned in here. It's not the main focus. The plot isn't set in Whitby, but the people who live in this home go on a trip to Whitby, and I felt like Joanna Cannon had evoked the place incredibly well. When they were walking about the place, going around, I was like, yes, I know this place, I know this place, I recognise where you're going, and I was really enjoying myself. And I think that's the problem when you like a place so much and you see it represented in fiction, you're always hypercritical of the way that people are going to represent it. I like that a lot of these characters have represented what I've liked about Whitby, is this almost sense of the home away from home, this mismatched group of people, the styles of the places. You know, like you go down some of the terraces and some of the cobbled streets and it seems, you know, very grim, and then you get to the Crescent and you're like, oh my goodness, you would never believe that such buildings are here when you've only been 2 minutes away from that. And then you get down to the arcades and you're thinking, well, this is strange for them to be in a place such as this. And it's just so higgledy-piggledy, and the people are as well, and I really enjoy it. I mentioned in this book, although I can't remember Whitby too much in here, when I was doing a Google search I was told that Whitby does feature in Started Early, Took My Dog by Kate Atkinson. I do remember something about a character running away, and I'm trying to remember whether she ran away to Whitby. I really liked this book, and if the internet's going to tell me that Whitby is featured in it and I get to mention it again, then I'm going to do so, because this was another of the Jackson Brodie books that I really liked and featured Tracy Waterhouse and has such great humour in it. Whether or not it reaches Whitby, I know that it definitely mentions Yorkshire, and that's just as good in my opinion. So there we have it, just a few of the books that mention Whitby, and hopefully I'm there, hopefully I'm having a good time, as I'm currently a bit wary of the place that we're going to be staying, but I keep having to remind myself it's an adventure and I've stayed in worse places. Do you know of any books set in Whitby? Do you like reading about your favourite place? Feel free to let me know all of those things in the comments, because I hope you've enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.